You meet so many great people, but then when the transaction's over, then you don't have any contacts. So we started doing all these events, happy hours. We do the pies, we do a fall fest, we do pizza giveaways, we do all the different holidays so we can interact with people. And it's so fun because then you catch up, you're friends forever, finding out what's going on with the families and stuff. And so every year it just gets bigger and bigger.
Well, all right. Well, welcome to the podcast, Kris Jensen and Anne-Marie Velte. I'm super excited to have you here.
Thank you.
And Kris, I was just thinking that you are the longest standing realtor relationship that I have.
I thought about that this morning. I think it's 18 years.
Yeah. Well, I've known you for way longer than that, though. I've known you from way back from my high school time, right? Yeah. And you being pseudo mom to one of my good friends in high school and his little brother who we're helping right now, too. So that's super fun. So to me, that's like a 25-year plus relationship, which is super cool.
I know, it's been a long time.
Yeah, that's super fun. And I think about like our journey of us knowing each other, and we're going to get into a bunch of good stuff of like, we've worked together long enough to see the market at the worst, right? Like in 2008 and 2009, and you were like a queen of short sales back then.
I thought about that today too. I had 26 listings and 24 of them were short sales. You know, so nothing moved at all. That's why I have all the lock boxes.
Yeah, we have lots of lock boxes in the closet.
Right? Yeah. Oh, I just think about like how the real estate's changed so much. And like that was kind of like not a fun time to be in because every situation we did, and I remember doing a open house for a big house in Troy Burn, and we brought in a chef. Do you remember this?
Yes.
And that house would be worth like triple now what it was worth then, and how it was like their dream home, but I think it's short sale.
Yep, and they had built it. I mean, and they were big golfers. I mean, that was really tough.
Yeah, versus now it's like more fun. Like it's like positive things, right, that we get to help people with today. So we've kind of been on this long journey of
survivors.
Yeah, right. We have been, and you have been. You've been an amazing human being the entire time I've worked with you, and I'm so excited that you introduced me to Anne-Marie too. So how did you get into real estate?
Well, I moved to Hudson, and why tenacity and being naive, I guess. I didn't know anyone, no family or friends, and I decided to get into real estate. So I sat as a hostess in new construction for a couple of years. I moved here in 99. I moved to Hudson in 99. And then in 2002, I got licensed. And then the market crashed, being a single mom. So every day I would just show up at the market center. We had classes at Keller Williams every day. Just like showing up, there wasn't any option. And I remember my family saying, you need to get a real job. It's like, I have so much time and money into this, I am not quitting. I love it. But yeah, it was.
You were one of the original East Metro Keller Williams agents, I feel like.
Yeah.
Weren't you?
Yeah. And the first in Hudson, because they didn't have an office there for years.
You were the first Hudson Keller Williams agent. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember Keller Williams the first time. It's Sherwin-Williams. Like, what is Keller Williams? Because it was brand new. The brand was, now it's a staple of the real estate industry, but you were one of the leaders in that.
But it was tough because you'd go on a listing appointment and somebody'd say, well, I really like you, but I've never heard of this company, so I think I've got to go with, a known name, for a brokerage, because they'd never heard of it.
Yeah.
Until there was a big article that came out in the Tribune about Keller Williams, because they started here in January 2002.
Okay.
And then I started with them in August. But that kind of made a difference, that finally, they were writing about it. But
yeah, it was like you and Cart Housley. Right? Like we're like the two East Metro Keller Williams agents back then. I remember that. Very, very cool. So, and then you got to grow your own team and staff and support and buyer's agents. I feel like I've seen you do it all.
It's been fun.
Yeah, and you always have been relational. That has been like your core thing, where I feel like all the clients that we work together, it's like, I feel like these people are like your friends.
Well, it's funny, I was just looking at that too, because we do a game night, girlfriends, and it's like, they're all past clients that have become really good friends, and you introduce them to each other. So there's like 7 of us. The thing that kept when the market crashed was like 6 of my friends got divorced, and so that's how I survived the crash, is because they had to sell a house and they had to buy.
Yeah.
They're all still friends, but it's,
Birds of a feather flock together, I guess.
Full circle.
That's great. I mean, we've taken tons of classes together of learning everything from graduating from Dave Ramsey together, right?
Yeah.
You remember that? Everybody's like, we got to get our money tight, like 08, 09, and which forever changed my finances.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, of being able to focus on that, and lots of Keller Williams classes together too. So, and you're still crushing it here 20 years later, which is super, super cool. Yeah. And you introduced me to Anne Marie, right? Who, you guys have your individual businesses, but you collaborate together would be the best way to explain it, right?
Yes.
Because you each have your own staff, right? And your own independent databases, but you cross over.
Right.
Which I think just personally sounds nice because then you could actually have a life.
It's a great arrangement. It works wonderfully for us. We cover each other when one of us can't do it. We're helping each other. So our clients never feel like we're not there for them. They always feel like they're our only client because we back each other up. So it's terrific how it works.
Yeah, when you got good complementary personalities, right, where you're very similar. So then that part, you both have, I feel like this motherly, I'm going to take care of you, that mentality that makes people feel really comfortable. Anne Marie, I don't know if I've ever heard from you, like how you got into real estate.
Well, when my kids were young, I have 3 boys, and when they were young, I was a professional volunteer, stay-at-home mom, which worked full-time basically outside the home, helping with their school, getting it established in our community, and doing all the things. And when my youngest went off to middle school, I was like, now what do? I need to do something, and it was kind of time thinking ahead of having to do insurance, braces, college, all the things that were coming down the pike. Like, okay, I think I need to go back to work. And I had been in sales prior to, staying at home with my boys. So I'm like, okay, I need to do something. But I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to go back to the industry that I was in because it was consumer products and it was a lot of traveling and, nights and weekends and that kind of thing. And I just did not know what to do. And at the time, a dear friend said, you should look into real estate. And I was like, no way. I know way too many real estate agents. They're all over, there's several in my neighborhood. There's several in our community. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. She's like, just try it. What do you have to lose? And so I did. And she was right. I love it. And it was the perfect thing for me to do at the time, and it has been for the last 11 years. This is my 11th year in the business, and I can't believe it. It's been this long, and how rewarding it's been, how much I love it, and all the great people and things that I've done along the way. It's really cool. I'm so glad that I'm here.
Yeah, you're crushing it right now too, right? So you got some good momentum. I know, especially when we've chatted about some of our goals and some of the things that you want to do and close 100 houses in a year. And like in today's market, I think I saw a stat, it was like 70% of people or 70% of agents last year didn't even sell a house, which is like unbelievable to me on the difference between the people that are the producers and non-producers. Now it's just getting bigger and bigger, and the consumer doesn't even know that. They don't know that their friend's cousin's uncle's sister, right? Who's a realtor sells one house a year, and they don't even understand today's market. Right? Like of how the difference of even, the market 90 days ago versus the market today is different.
Changes every day.
Yeah. And if you're not in it, you don't know.
Every day. You have to have your pulse on it, watching the market, talking to people, and just watching the numbers. The numbers tell it all. Right. And we do that regularly. Like just, okay, what's happening today?
Yeah, absolutely. So for you guys, man, you guys love your events. Like the relational events, right? So tell me about what kind of how do you do that? Or for some of our listeners that are realtors, you guys could put on a master class on how you do like all the little events and pie giveaways and pizza. So tell me a little bit about that because you do them together.
Yeah,
we do. Yeah. What happened? You meet so many great people, but then when the transaction's over, then you don't have any contact. So we started doing all these events. Happy hours. We do. The pies, we do a fall fest, we do pizza giveaways, we do, all the different holidays, so we can interact with people. And it's so fun because then you catch up, your friends forever, finding out what's going on with the families and stuff. And so every year it just gets bigger and bigger. Yeah,
I like how you do it, like how you'll do like text, because I'm on the list, right? Like, so I see that like you'll do a text, you'll do a phone call, come pick I think it was like, was that pizza? You have pizza night or something?
Yeah.
Is that right?
You forgot to pick up your pizza.
I did forget to pick up my pizza.
You forgot to pick up your pizza.
Yeah.
But somebody benefited from it, one of the office staff, so they were grateful.
They were. But how fun, like what an affordable, simple way to be able to do it, right? And are you calling all your past clients or is it like a select group?
We send to everybody.
You do.
And then the follow-up, which I think the participation, the text really made a difference as the reminders. Because a lot of times people would hear about it, and then they forget to sign up or they forget to come in, but the text. So this year, the event was huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Do you try to space that out? Or you're like, hey, can we do one a quarter? Or do you do it in the times like where the real estate market's the busiest? Or how do you figure that out?
Well, we plan ahead. We do a yearly calendar now. I mean, at first, it was kind of like we always did the pie event. So we knew we could count on that. And then we added, well, you always did the pizza event. So then I started doing that when we started working together. And
We do that in February.
yeah, and then we did the fall event together. So, and then our office has some events too that we can participate in. They do the photos with the Easter Bunny. They do the photos with Santa, the trunk or treat. So the office has some events that we can, piggyback on and bring our clients into as well. So that's fun to be able to do that. And then we last year started the fall event, which was like pictures and then also pumpkins and just doing these events. Like, who doesn't love a party and to be social? And our clients always love it when they come. It's a happy,
It's
just
casual.
It's casual. Think of it like the day of closing. Everybody is exciting. It's jubilant and fun. And then after that, you have no contact. When you've had so much contact during the transaction, it's kind of like a letdown. Like, oh, well, when am I going to see you again? I'm going to miss, you miss those people because sometimes you spend a lot of time together during the process. So having these events gives us the opportunity to keep those connections going and have fun.
Totally. Like I think of like the fall one, you got the biggest charcuterie board I've ever seen. Right? Like it's just like the length of the room,
It was
right?
huge.
And it's vibrant and people are having fun and they come for like it's a couple hours in the afternoon.
That was our pie event, and that is so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
For the fall event too.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah,
we did.
we both.
That's right.
Yeah, I think for us as salespeople, it's fun, like because sometimes you just get in the grind of stuff.
Yeah, it can't
Like
be all
where it's
about
like
work. It's got to be fun too.
Yeah, like where you get out of the fun. Like you're just doing your daily grind and you don't necessarily get to let loose a little bit and just enjoy and get to know people on a more personal level. And I've seen that really specifically in your business that you're one of the few that is able to transition a multi-generational clients, like where we have families that we've helped 3 generations and they like within that crew, there's probably a dozen closings plus. Right. Maybe more, actually, right? So tell me about that. How do you think you're able to do that? Like, why are people referring their kids or their cousins or like their close, most important people in their life back to you, Kris?
Well, I think we call it our signature service. From the get-go, I mean, they are taken care of. We've got you kind of thing. We do calming, depending on the situation, calming baskets, but we keep them in the loop and they're included. And then our social media is so huge, so they start sharing that, with their family. So I think they see all the things that we do for the exposure for our listings. So we do a ton of social media, with LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and everything. So that you get all those different generations of where they look for things, but then you have your clients marketing for you also because they're sharing all the things that we're doing. So, their family gets exposed to all that, where normally it was just, the people that you were working with, So social media has been huge for us.
Yeah, they know that we're going to do a good job for them because we've already proven that we, are the resource that they need. We're there for them when they need us during the transaction and work hard for them. So it's easy for them to refer us to their friends and family, because we've worked hard. And then, of course, nobody wants to miss a party. So once they know about our events, like, well, we want to be part of that too. How do we do that? Like, well, you buy or sell a house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we stay in touch too, with birthdays and anniversaries and stuff with their kids and the interaction on Facebook. We stay in contact. So all of our, clients, we Facebook friends them, so then they see what we're doing, we see what they're doing. So we just stay in contact, so
It seems so basic of saying it, but you actually do it. I think that's what most people in the real estate business, everybody knows you're supposed to build a database and stay in contact with your database, but none of your competitors do it, right?
we do note cards and we do all kinds of things, where they're not forgotten. But the follow-up is huge.
It's everything, right?
And we actually handwrite them ourselves.
Yeah, that's fun. right? Like that seems to me like all the old school stuff that was getting forgotten about, like that is the difference maker now because people are just on their phones. So if you get a handwritten note, it feels special, or a little package, it feels special, right? Because you don't get it anymore,
Right.
right? Like who gets a handwritten note anymore? I don't feel. Do you guys get a lot of handwritten notes from
When I
other
do,
people?
I get excited and say, "Who
I
sent
know.
it?"
I know, right?
Meal.
Yeah, when you have an actual envelope that is like a little secret to all you realtors out there, like if you send a package and it's hand written on it, you want to like you get it out of the mailbox. That's like the first thing you're opening,
Right.
right? Because you might have a stack of all these other things, but you're like, what is this? I want to see what this is, and it could just be like just thinking of you, right? Which is super cool. You guys are really good at that. So, Anne Marie, you do a lot of buyers. You work with a lot of buyers. I know you support Kris, like on her buyers. This has been a rough buyer's market for 5 years, right? Like it has been ugly. Like, and what I mean by ugly is low inventory. So you strike out a lot, unfortunately, right? What do you do to keep people, when I think of like your style and your personality, like how do you keep them excited? How do you keep them going back for more when they're getting frustrated because they wrote on a couple of offers and like, they fall in love with the home and then they lose out? How do you keep them going? How do you keep them excited to still want to buy?
It's, acknowledging that it's rough. And we talk about that, in our buyer consultation. We do our buyer strategy session when we begin the relationship or the journey of buying a home. And we talk about it that, this could be a long process. We might have to write a few offers. It might not happen immediately. So really kind of get them set up for that. It might take a while. So depending on their personalities and how they are, like sometimes I might relate it to dating, like you can't fall in love the first one, or, you might have to kiss a lot of toads, or you might not find your prince or princess right away, that kind of thing, and make it fun and light and they laugh. But really, just talking to them, setting expectations, and then when it doesn't, acknowledging that, yeah, that's rough and it hurts. Because a lot of times when you have to make that call, that's the worst call we have to make, right? Even as listing agents, when we have to make those calls to other agents, it's rough. We hate it because we know how hard it is and what that feels like when you're on the other side to get that call. But we both always call, like we call the agents, let them know, like, hey, we're really sorry. Thanks so much for your hard work. Because we know how hard that is. But same thing on the client side, like saying, like we understand that this is rough, so take a little time and then we need to get back at it. And my key phrase is always patience, persistence, and faith. And a lot of times, past clients will say that back to me, or they'll tell me like, hey, that really, outside of our real estate journey together, they'll come back and tell me about a situation where, hey, those words that you used really helped me that time, and I've used them at other times in my life. It's helped me, or I've helped other people. Non-real estate stuff. But really, it's patience, persistence, and faith, because we don't have a crystal ball to know when we're going to find the house, where it's going to be, or how the situation is going to be at all. But we know it will happen. Like we know, we've never failed at finding someone a house. So eventually we will find them the house, and, they'll be there. They'll get the right home when the time is right. And so we just have to constantly keep saying that, even if we're writing 10 offers.
The real estate transaction can be a very overwhelming process to go through and very emotional, right? Like I cried when I sold one of my houses. I'm like, I'm not really a crier, right? Like it's just amazing, and like how it can be such a big life change, and you guys are the guiding light to be able to take them through that. And I love that strategy.
Yeah. The other thing I say a lot too is, just because it helps me, is that rejection is protection, or redirection, or sometimes God's protection. It depends on the people, but it really is. Rejection is protection or redirection. Like whether you believe in God or the universe or whatever, it's that we're not supposed to be there. Like that's not supposed to be the one, and we will find the one. And then patience, persistence, and faith. Because, how many times has something happened to you and you like at the time, the rejection was so gut wrenching, like, wow, I really wanted that house, or I really wanted whatever. And then they find out that, down the road, they find the one and they get the one and they're like, oh, that was so glad we didn't get that one. So
You hear that a lot.
yeah, it always happens. We just don't have that crystal ball or magic wand to make it happen at that particular moment, maybe, but we will find it. So,
Yeah, I think that's good. And Kris, I was thinking about for you that when we've worked together and you've had sellers that are selling houses, it seems like we rarely ever have a client that works together that doesn't sell their house. Right? Like that doesn't, why is that? What are you doing on the listing agent side that like I can't say your data, but it seems like every house sells. It's like it's never, like, why is
our
that?
goal.
Yeah,
We don't
of
just
course,
list them, we
right?
sell
But
them.
Yeah.
the reality is that's not the case. Every house doesn't sell, right? Like people assume I put my house for sale and it sells. Like it doesn't always work that way. Right? Why is that for you?
I think it's the consultation we do with buyers and sellers, but we really set it up of all the things that can happen and how proactive they need to be to not be chasing the market when it comes to, if it's not selling, the price improvements. We talk about that ahead of time. We have it all prepped. Okay, if this doesn't happen, we're ready to go. So they have it already in their mind. Okay, this amount of days, how many showings, and we kind of go through a formula that, then we need to be addressing this and be proactive, not reactive, because then you're just going to get less the longer it's on the market. So that whole setup, I think in the beginning, we spend a lot of time on our consultations. Same with the buyer, so they understand the process. I mean, we've got flow charts. We give them each questionnaires ahead of time, to help us. So we have everything done ahead of time. And we provide, a lot of agents don't do, the booklets, they seem kind of archaic in a way, but at the same time, when an agent comes in there and knows nothing about the house, and the buyers are all excited, everything in our feature booklets, they have to write an offer. They have all the utilities, the mechanicals, age of everything, the disclosures, real estate condition report. They have everything they need so you don't lose that momentum when somebody's excited, fire's hot, get the offer written. Because if they have to wait days to get an answer from the seller to get back to us with all these questions, then they lose that excitement. So the seller, they've already done everything ahead of time, so there's not things that come up typically unless it's an association specific thing. So we do a lot of talk, ahead of time of all the scenarios, give different examples of things that had happened. You don't want to do this. So they think, okay, yeah, I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
Things that are pitfalls.
I feel like you're very communicative, right? Like, and your clients seem to be the same way. So you must coach them on that. Like, do you coach them on, hey, when we have activity on your house, you have to get back to us in this period of time? You do, because sometimes like we'll have offers go out and it seems like did the agent talk to the client of saying you need to respond within 12 hours, 24 hours, or whatever it is? Yeah, and I don't feel
And
like
we'll even text and say, hey, I sent you an email. Did you see it? We don't want to lose that momentum.
Yeah. I had a client this spring that they made an offer on a very high $1 million+ home, and the seller didn't respond for 4 days.
wow.
And you know what the
Our
client did?
seller,
Went off and found something else.
They
right?
did. They bought another house and closed in a couple weeks. Right. So it was like really like.
but it's a respect thing too.
Full price offer too.
Yeah.
Like that, where it's like, it was just mind blowing to me that they would do that. So. Yeah, so it seems like the agent's got to coach the client. So, and I hear it from agents dang near every day. They love working with other good agents.
Right.
Right? That when they see, I'm sure your guys' names on the listing, they're like, yes, like we can make this work.
Well, they know it's going to be, we're going to do our best to make sure that everything is ready, show ready. The house has been prepped. It's going to look nice for pictures so that it shows nice online. And then, they've been coached. Like, it's all about preparation and education, right? We can't assume that just because people watch HGTV, they know how to sell a home as a seller, right? We have to coach them and educate them of the process and, what's going to happen and what you need to do. And to your point about, taking a long time to respond, we tell them, like, because sometimes they'll think, well, should we wait a couple days? It's like, well, we need to at least have some kind of response. We can't just leave them hanging. We can let them know that we're going to look at offers after 2 days, or our plan is to look at offers on this day. But we can't just leave people hanging, because you're right. They'll go, if they're hot to trot to buy, they might just withdraw their offer and go somewhere else. And you don't want to lose a great buyer
Well, and I always ask, I've got a psychology minor, ask, okay, if this was you, how would you want to be treated? Would you want, your offer to be sitting out there?
Yeah.
You turn the tables and say, okay, how would I want to be treated in this transaction, and react, accordingly. But
So, Kris, I feel like you're super gritty, right? You've been doing this a long time, right? We got a couple boom and busts under your belt now of the real estate industry. So for like the younger crew that's coming in real estate, like, how do you keep that foundation of being like kind of consistent on like that grit and determination of going, so you've been able to win in the bad markets, the good markets, no matter what? Like, what is that within you? Like, is there like a daily practice or something that you're doing?
well, survival for one thing. I mean, I was a single parent, and it's like I don't have an option to fail at this. I mean, that was when I first started. It's like I have to provide, for my son, and so it was like I showed up every day. I mean, and nothing happened for the longest time, but I mean, I think my first year, I want to say I went almost 10 months, and then I had a listing and 7 transactions came out of that, but it was like nothing was happening because I didn't know anyone, so you're networking, trying to meet people, so it was a slow process to start, but the whole, just showing up, I mean, you have to, the more classes, I'm an education junkie. My dad was a teacher. So like you talked about all the classes and the conferences, I mean, I have always done that because, you learn about the greatest things, that are out there. Keller Williams has been great. So we've just attended so many different things, and our market center too. We have classes all the time. So, I mean, if you're going and doing those things, you really can't fail because it gives you a map of how to succeed. You just have to do it, but.
The consistency is the key part of that, right? Yeah, and I think about in the Hudson community, right, that you're not even actually from there, but it feels like you are because you've ingrained yourself so much into that community, right, purposefully, right?
I love Hudson. I mean, that whole thing, you love where you live. I mean, to talk about the community is really fun. I've been there 26 years, so it feels like home, but yeah.
Yeah, you've done a really, really good job with that. So, and for you, so when I know you had transitioned from a team originally, right, that you were on, and then you went over on your own, and then it seems like you accelerated really, really quickly out of that. Like, so that kind of seemed like it was a fork in the road thing for you when you decided you're like, I can do this all on my own, right? And why did your business grow so fast after that?
Well, I just poured into the relationships that I had. I mean, that's where our business comes from, is from the people that we know that already know, like, and trust us. And we just really poured into that. And that's kind of where, our collaboration kind of started, because we really run our businesses very much the same. And so I think it was just really...
People love her. I mean, people like my clients too, when they've worked with her, it's just like, she's such a great person. You can't help but have a great experience. I mean, she's knowledgeable, but she's a great person besides. It's not about the transaction, it's about the people. So,
well, right back at you,
you excel.
Well, it's a good match. It really is. I mean, so I think that, it was just, and getting gritty. Like, I had to make it work because this is my livelihood. And so had to get gritty at it and just, figure it out. And it was a big jump. It was a leap of faith because, like, really, can I do this on my own? I mean, it was very comfortable working on a team. It was, I was very comfortable, but it was there was the right time, and it was a leap of faith. And I'm so glad I did it and never look back. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Comfort doesn't always bring out the best in you.
No.
Right? Like, just because you're comfortable, sometimes we got to be challenged and put our neck out there a little bit and say, we're going to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
Right? Versus, just saying I'm going to sit back and always be comfortable. That's never going to be the best version of ourselves. No. So, where do you guys see the real estate market going in the next couple of years?
We talk about it all the time. Well, if we had that crystal ball, right now it looks like the numbers are trending more towards a balanced market. So, that's good for everyone. More listings for our buyers and more opportunity for our sellers too.
But that too is the consultation of saying, when there was the frenzy and everybody thought their house would sell right away, and now the days on market just keep getting longer and longer. And it's hard for sellers especially to grasp that.
Yeah.
And even the buyers will say, what's wrong with this house? It's been on the market for 90 days. Like,
How
they're-
ridiculous is that?
yeah,
Right.
Right?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But that actually has to grow for more sales to grow.
Yes.
So it's kind of like this weird thing that we have to go through of like inventory has to increase to have more sales. Like it all has to play together. That the more inventory I feel like there is, the more eyeballs there are on real estate, the more people think I could actually buy a house. Because when the inventory is low, I hear it every day of pre-approving people. They won't even put their house on the market because they're so afraid there's not another house to buy. So it's like we need to go through this cycle of allowing inventory to increase in order for more people to actually sell their house. Yeah. So, and the balanced market, man, for the buy side is sure a lot more enjoyable. Like versus just brutally getting beat out in multiple offers over and over again.
Well, and people buying sight unseen and FaceTiming a house, I mean, you really can't get a feel, so you don't know what you're getting into. And then there'd be all the cancellations. They do an inspection or something, and all of a sudden they would back out because now they're seeing a house for the first time. It's a very frustrating market because everything went so quickly.
You don't want people making a decision to buy a house under duress. I mean, it's not a pair of shoes you can take back to the store. It's a house. So a lot of buyers that during that time where it was insane, make decisions that probably weren't their best and came back to us the next year and are buying another house, selling and buying another house. We had a lot of that, which was unfortunate, but that's kind of what that market created for people is they made a quick decision and then they realized it maybe wasn't the best decision for them. And we don't want to see that again because that costs money and time and it's stressful. So
Yeah, Justine and I did that. My wife and I did that when we bought a house and there was no inventory. We had our son, so it's like the classic trigger moment, right? Of have a child, and Kris had helped us, showing us some stuff, and we found a house that we thought we liked, and then get all excited because you get like squeezed into are you going to make an offer? Or are you not going to make an offer? So we did, and then we got in it, and it was like within like 60 days. I remember making a call and saying, I don't think this is right. Right? Like, I don't think this is going to work. And we were gone in 9 months.
I remember you saying, I think we bought the wrong house.
Yeah, right. And there's plenty of people like that. We are unfortunate in a position of we paid. We lost money, right? We had to cover basically the cost of a lot of the real estate commission to just go and just move on, right? And then go find what we really wanted. So that's a real world thing. So hopefully we get less of that now. In a balanced market allows people time to think. And it allows them the ability to negotiate a little bit in a healthy way, though, too, right?
and not give up inspections and things like that that are really important. I mean, an inspection is optional. You don't have to do an inspection, but we always say it's a necessity because it's protecting your investment. And not that we expect that there's something wrong with every house that we sell, but we want the buyers to know the house that they're buying, and the inspectors help them get to know their house. Like, we're looking for structural, mechanical, and safety things when we do those inspections, but it also is helping the buyers know, like, the honey-do list kind of stuff that they might want to do when they move into their house, and help them get to know it. So it's an important part of the process that was skipped so much during those frenzy years, and a lot of people had regrets because of it, because it could be costly mistakes, and we don't want that.
Yeah. So I think, like, as the market grows and continues to be better and it's more balanced, for the sellers, they have to price houses right.
Yeah.
And so the value, though, of the agent on the sell side in the next 3 to 5 years is going to go up and up and up because they need an even better advisor. I feel like 4 years ago, anybody could just kind of list a house and it would just sell. I remember people making offers on houses. There wasn't even pictures on the MLS. Right? And that is not the case now.
Well, and overpaying, to get the house, everybody overpaid. So then if they did have to move, or marriage, or a divorce or relocation or something, they instantly lost money because there wasn't any equity. It was bad.
I love your guys' enthusiasm on how you approach the real estate business on like a truly authentic relational level. Right. And it just oozes out of you. And that's why I think you guys collaborate so well together. So I just want you guys to know I appreciate both of you guys. And I appreciate you hanging with me here today.
Thanks,
We
Andy.
appreciate you and your team and your systems. I mean, it's so easy to refer when you guys have such great follow-up. So then you get repeat buyers and they refer their families to you because you guys do such a great job.
Cool. Well, thank you. That's what we're doing. We're doing our job for that.
Make us look good.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It goes both ways. All right. Well, thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.